Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is the reason we could use a producer. So, welcome back, everybody. It's just Wednesday, it's hump day. And, on a Wednesday, we always kind of feel, oh, here we go again. And yes, once again, here we go again. As the United States and the rest of the West have decided that the Jew is the best target, that Jews are everybody's favorite bitch, that we are just to be kicked, trampled, you name it. And it's funny because the hate that comes towards Jews, when you sit down and you decide and you just break it down, it doesn't make any sense for any race, religion, ethnicity, you name it. But for Jews, we find a way to rationalize it. And as we've seen in the last little bit, teachers' unions deciding what they want to do, Democrats and other politicians deciding what they want to do with anti Semitism, and heads of universities. You want to know what they are doing? A big fat zero. It's just because it's a nuisance. It's annoying. And despite the fact that the Trump administration has threatened to withhold millions, up to billions of dollars to these universities, the chancellors continue to say they'll do what they want. The teachers unions will say, we know better. And TV, entertainers, media, they have the moral high ground. Ugh. Welcome back, everybody, to the Rant Network. My name is David Solomon. He is Stuart Brisgell. We are, yes, the Rant Network. We do what we do over here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday noon Eastern. It's very simple. Unedited, uncensored, unfiltered, and totally unapologetic rants about absurdity, modern life, politics, you name it. What we like to do is to dive in with our opinions, but yet we do our homework. We do our research. Yes, every once in a while we'll throw in a comment or two that just to drive everybody a bit crazy. But the reality is we're getting you to think and realize that, hey, you know something? Maybe what we see isn't real. So sit back today as we dive into yet again something we've been talking about, probably ramped up more than anything else for close to 2 years. It's over 650 days. And that is how anti-Semitism has suddenly become so mainstream in the West. It's become so commonplace that we don't blink an eye anymore. That, Stuart, if you see a protest on the street of these pro-terrorist people who are chanting death to Jews, you just ignore it. And if they walk on a stage at university graduations, you just ignore it. But it's funny because you couldn't ignore it. If Whoopi Goldberg were to hear it about it and, talking about blacks or gays or women, she'd lose her mind on The View. But a Jew? What say you as I go through my rhyme?
Anti-Semitism in the classroom is a serious, long manifesting history in the world. And, modern history may remind you the systematic genocide of all the European Jews, which started with this sort of behavior. Understanding the historical content of anti-Semitism is essential in understanding the modern manifestation. And as you said in the green room, if Whoopi Goldberg, would hear someone say something derogatory about black people, women, gay, or anything else, let me be brutally honest. The cycle of hatred in the world goes around and round and round. And now it seems to be the Jews. Where schools are overtly perpetrating in the classroom anti-Israel and anti-Holocaust type education that's being passed that, thank God, Donald Trump is calling that hate speech, not free speech. And the teachers union are doing everything in their power to do everything against this real cornerstone of America. Lincoln's first Jewish book in Congress was the Old Testament of anything other than Christian origin stuff. And that's something that most people don't know. And the stereotyping and the prejudices of Jews in the classroom, you're right, has costed some universities not millions, but billions of dollars on different sections 9 or 7 that they're training and pulling the money back. But where the training of these educators is where this becomes even more impactful and scarier. We see how communism and fascism and socialism being pushed through the agendas of these left educating systems, it's now turned into anti-Semitism in the classroom. The ADL, they're unable. They're an invertebrate. Having a Holocaust museum, well, that doesn't do much. When they remove the teaching of what the Holocaust was and try and put other, quote, Holocausts on top of it, including, not limited to, calling the incursion in Gaza another Holocaust. The main difference is it's simple. Jews have wanted to just live their lives just like any other race in the world. Yet they get picked on because they seem to excel more than most. Do they? Do they not? I don't know. How many Nobel Prizes are where Jews? What percentage are Jews? What percentage of the world are Jews? There is definitely pause and reason that they have jealousy. But what isn't going to make much sense in a free society, where do you get off justifying this to children? You want to protect transgender children in the classroom, but you don't want to protect their religious freedoms. You want to protect someone's right to go into a girl's bathroom when they're a boy, but you don't want to protect someone from calling them a dirty Jew or a colonialist or an invasion. Jews aren't an invasion. Jews existed in the Middle East long before Christians did, long before Muslims did. Jews were there. The whole reason why the region's called Judea is for the Jews, Judah. Dave, it saddens me to no end that the biggest bagel chaser in Hollywood, who is Whoopi Goldberg, is out there, slandering Jews. I would hope and pray that someone teaches Whoopi a little lesson. Unfortunately, she has too big of a microphone and too little brains. Dave, I'm saddened. Watching Mandami in New York getting greeted by AOC and Nadler, from the Jewish Congress, accepting him with open arms when he yells and screams, global Antifada. There's a problem in the world. It's not just New York. It's not just United States. It's Canada, Europe. It's all over. And I really don't know what the solution is other than enforcing the laws of the land. Hate speech is not free speech. David?
Well, look, it's the word. I got to tell you, this is what the world we've come up with, right? And I go back to, let's go back to the university chancellors for just a second. Yesterday, the leaders of Georgetown, City University of New York, UC Berkeley, they were there. And clearly they were much better prepared than the December 2023 hearings with MIT, UPenn, and Harvard, in which, those three lawyered up and got themselves, the stupidest answers you could possibly imagine, and kept saying, free speech, it depends. And they kept wrapping themselves around the whole free speech thing and whatever. And what do the Democrats do? The Democrats call this entire it's a circus. Basically, it's a witch hunt. African-American Democrats are sitting there and they're crucifying the Republicans for trying to find something that doesn't exist. I'm getting fucking tired of this. I'm getting tired of African Americans who should go back and learn their own goddamn fucking history, which means start going back to your time of when Martin Luther King was fighting for your rights and who was standing next to him? Jews. Stop denying history. Stop twisting history. You have been brainwashed to believe that Jews are your enemy. Jews stood with you for civil rights because they know what persecution means. You seem to have forgotten who your allies are. And then you wonder why people don't want to rally with you. There's no doubt I get that. But here's the second part that pissed me off yesterday, is that the chancellor from UC Berkeley, his name is Rich Lyons, when he was asked about a professor who was endorsing Hamas, well, his first answer was, hey, he's a fine scholar. This is what's amazing to me, is like these three guys who are sitting there with billions of dollars at stake in funding and fundraising and whatever, once again get caught up in the whole notion. Well, listen. We need to know there's, if somebody says, I'm in favor of pro-Palestine, I'm in favor, is that hate speech? And it just amazes me that they sit there and they okay, let's think this through. If you sat there today, Stuart, and said, "Oh, I would like a Palestinian state," that's not hate speech. What is hate speech is destroying Jews. Just to say, hate speech is say from the river to the sea. And don't tell me it depends on the context. I'm sick and tired of hearing this crap. But that's what these guys have lawyered up and learned. Oh, well, it's free speech. Okay, if that's what your free speech is, I want to say fuck you. I want to say fuck white men with white mustaches. Okay,
But David, but it's the law. Hamas has been recognized as a foreign terrorist organization by the U.S. Department of State since 1997. And
it
just so
doesn't
you know,
matter. It doesn't matter.
hang on. And UC Berkeley, and by the way, in other countries, including Australia, United Kingdom, New Zealand, Canada, all recognize them as a terrorist
It's
organization.
irrelevant.
But yet, you know what? You're not listening to what I'm trying to get to. But like at UC Berkeley, recognized terrorist organizations have the right to do what? Be good scholars on campus. I mean, that's literally like saying, let's put the pedophiler in the classroom for little
Yeah,
kids.
but they don't care. But that's it. The whole thing, Stuart, which I was trying to get to, was very simple. It isn't about, it's not about this whole notion of free speech. It's not free speech because again, change the group. It's no longer free speech. But again, it goes beyond that, and this is where I'm pissed off at these Democrats who are sitting here saying, "Oh no, 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 this is a circus." Jews were physically assaulted on campus. Jews were denied entry into classrooms. We have video evidence of it, and it's being denied. It's being denied by the Democrats.
It's easy to deny, David. It didn't
Of course, it
happen.
is denied because there's always a reason.
They
They're
deny
expressing their
everything.
anger.
The Democrats deny everything.
No, but Stuart,
You know, it works.
no,
It's
no,
a
no, 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 no. I'm not taking that excuse. I'm not taking that excuse. Okay?
works.
No, no, it doesn't work. It's a
How many
bullshit
people in
excuse.
New York vote
Because
for
it's a bullshit.
Democrats? It's ridiculous.
It's a bullshit excuse. And when you see a Jerry Nadler standing up there supporting a goddamn racist, well, no wonder Jews are being accosted. Because when a Jew stands up there and says, "I support the haters," no wonder we're going to be vilified. If there's one thing I'll give the Democrats credit, Stuart, is that they stand by, no matter how cockamamie crazy the ideology is, they all stand in unison and support it.
Like
And yet,
little Debbie, like Liddy Debbie Wassersom Schultz. I agree.
and you know what's, and I'll tell you something. I had a great conversation with this wonderful couple, Floridians who moved to North Carolina. They're Democrats. They didn't vote for Kamala in the last election because they knew what was coming. And they're embarrassed by their party. And do you know the name who they brought up? Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who said, "What is wrong with people like her?" And I said, "It's very simple. The idea of being a Jew is embarrassing. The idea of being a Jew and identifying a Jew now today is a badge of dishonor for them. And that's why they're going to run. And because being a Democrat makes more sense than protecting the people that they swore to protect. They took a Bible, they swore to protect you, they swore to protect others. And what they did is protect their own assets. And you could go as far as you want with that word. The amazing thing is that when you see what the teachers' unions are doing in the classroom, once again, led by hateful people who want to distort history. They tried to control the classroom with COVID. They tried to control the classroom with teaching, whatever they want. They're telling everybody, don't tell us. You, the government, have no right to tell us what to teach in the classroom. I beg your pardon. Why does a teacher get to determine the curriculum? You are here to follow what the state or provides you. You don't get to change it because you don't like it. You don't like it, get out of the way. Don't be a teacher. And now to sit here and to see that largest teachers unions do not want to teach anti-Semitism in the classroom, but rather promote it, that is insane. And every teacher should be fired.
David, let's cancel Black Heritage Month.
Oh, let's see what happens there. But I mean, cancel, to me, this is a joke already. But when
intentionally though,
listen, the Ontario Teachers Union, of which I know people who are part of it, have shown me documentation, have shown me what goes around of what they want taught in the classroom. And you're sitting here going, how dare they? I mean, this is, Stuart, you brought it up. This is 1930s all over again. This is how things started. When you start teaching kids hate, you know how you want to see an example of what teaching hate means? Go to Gaza, Go to the West Bank, go to the madrasas in the Middle East, how they're teaching hate about Jews and Christians and non believers. And when you see what comes out of there, your children are going to be that. If that's what you want, if you want your child to firebomb a synagogue, if you want your child to go stab Jews in a subway, if you want that, if that's what you want, that's what you're going to get, because that's what those teachers are teaching. That's what university professors are promoting. That's what heads of politicians are promoting, people. And I, as a Jew, I'm not going to tolerate it. When you talked about a few months ago or almost a year ago, how you had to help people learn how to fire a gun to protect themselves. And we said, wow, look at what gun control is. We like all, there's no wonder people are now more afraid than ever before, Jew and non-Jew alike, Stuart.
On that note, David, time to call this a wrap.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Stuart has called it again. So on that note, we like to thank you once again. It's a Wednesday afternoon. We hope you enjoy the rest of your week. We hope you make the best of it. Please, folks, we have Facebook takes down these videos after a few weeks. So if you want to watch us again, go to the rantnetwork.com. Check us out on our YouTube channel, folks. Okay, Stuart is typing it up right now. He's going to check it up as we speak. So why don't you go take a look at it? Why don't you take a look at the clips that are all over our social? Share that with people. Put the comments in. Good, bad, ugly, we don't care. We want to hear from you. And on that, folks, Stuart, as you play our outgoing jingle,